Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Favorable Go Gamers, and today we're going to be working on this PS4 Slim that's having a no power issue. I already got it down to the motherboard, so let's go over to the upper cam and see what's going on. All right, so as you guys can see from the upper cam, we got a PS4 Slim motherboard, so you guys can see exactly what we're working on. Also, sorry for not uploading anything for the past week. I've been actually crazy busy lately. I have still about 300 to 400 consoles I still gotta repair. It's just been so crazy for us lately. But the thing is, I've been wanting to do something unique, and every single console I'm getting in has just been like HDMI port, HDMI port, HDMI port. So I don't want to flood YouTube with like 1,000 HDMI port repairs. So kind of wanted to do something a little bit different. And this one right here is pretty unique. We have this console. The power supply unit is fine. I did put my multimeter on the power supply, and we wasn't having any issues with it. So I wanted to run some tests on this motherboard to try to figure out and try to pinpoint exactly what issue is going on. Why is it not powering up? The power supply is good. I tried a different power supply. What else could be going on with this thing? I don't know. So as you can see, here's our HDMI port. Here's our HDMI IC. Let's put our probe right here. Okay, so there's no short coming from the HDMI IC, because there are situations where if your HDMI IC isn't working correctly, you can have issues with that. Here is your Southbridge. This is another thing that I would typically always suspect of going out, because usually this is the most common. So as you saw, I flipped over to the other side of the board. I'm going to also show you guys on the upper cam. And there's this spot that I always test anytime I have issues like this. So you can kind of see where I'm at. I'll show you guys on the upper cam. I'll try to get it in. All right, so the section of the board that we're going to be looking at is exactly where my pointer finger is at. There's a little component right here, where if this component is shorted and is not receiving the proper ohms, then that means the Southbridge is gone out. So that's a little tip if you ever want to figure out if your Southbridge has gone out on a PS4 Slim. If this component is shorted, then it won't work. So let's go ahead and first off get better lighting. Now let's test out that component. So I'm going to put my black probe on ground, meaning I'm just going to put it on one of these screw holes. Then I'm going to put my red probe to the side. Okay. I have a beep on both sides. One of them is supposed to be ground, the other one is not supposed to be ground. This one is completely shorted out, and typically when this one is shorted out, usually these are shorted out too. Okay. So this has a complete short, and I'm even going to run some ohms reading on it to see what I read. So right now I am reading 1.4 ohm. And I'll try that one more time because I think I was off just a little bit. 1.4. So yeah, that is obvious dead short. Kind of scratched it up a little bit with those probes, but it's not a big deal. So that is obviously a dead short. So what I'm gonna have to do is replace the Southbridge on this PS4 Slim motherboard. And the thing is, the Southbridge is connected, is tied in with the, obviously, the power rails. So if the Southbridge is shorted out, it won't work at all. Now I'm going to use a couple things to pull this off. I'm going to use 8341 no clean flux. I have a BGA suction pin. I'm going to show you guys on the upper cam. So you guys can see I have it right here. I bought this thing off Amazon. If you look down in the description, you can see a lot of the things that I use in my videos. So if you want to get any of this stuff, definitely look down below in the description. So we're going to use that, and we're going to use our Tular heat wand. But let me find the chip. All right, cool. So you can see we're right here. This is exactly where the Southbridge is at. the thing is, these things, they go out so often in the PS4 Slims. I have no idea why. It's usually either the HDMI IC, Southbridge. So let's go ahead and replace this chip. Now, I ended up, I already have another chip pulled off another board, because typically when I scrap boards, I'll try to pull off whatever chips is good. Hopefully that chip is good. If it's not, then I'll have to order one. Whatever advice, if you have an eBay account, I will recommend getting a chip that is already reballed, because the reball process is the most complicated process here. So hopefully the other Southbridge does work, or hopefully I don't mess up on a reball process and we can be able to get that one put on. But yeah, like I said, if you don't have access to another Southbridge, get on eBay, type in the number right here. So CXD 942GG. For mine, yours may be different. I would make sure whatever you're getting is reball, which is typically all of them, and then just take it off that. So let's get this done. I just applied 8341 no clean flux. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Tular heat one. I'm going to put another tip on here, and we're going to get this thing heated up and take it off. All right, so I got my fume extractor going. I got my suction pump going. Got my Tular heat wand going. Got it maxed out. I got my airflow set at 40%, because we don't need the airflow to be too crazy. But I got the airflow 40%. Got it at 440. All right, so as you can see, we got it lifted off the board. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to set that Southbridge aside, get that out the way. And now what we're going to do is we're going to apply a little bit more flux. And we're going to heat up our Hacko solder iron. I'm going to max it out as well. And what I'm going to do is I like to pre-cut strips of desolder braid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-cut 3 strips. Like so. And all we're going to do is just go around and start to desolder. But first I'm going to put low melt solder on the board to make sure that we can easily remove all the solder. So we're going to use low melt. The type of solder that I use, also link is in the description as well. So here's the solder strip. Let's get that applied. And I'm just going to move around in circles. And what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to do 1 desolder braid with me desoldering all of the old solder balls off the board. And then I'm going to go in and change it to the microscope to get a more clear view. So here we are with our first desolder braid strip. I'm just going around in circles. We still have enough flux on here to utilize that to get all of this old solder off. You might have actually possibly got off of all that old solder with just 1 desolder braid strip, but I'm going to switch over to the microscope to make 100% sure. All right, so as you can see on the microscope, looks pretty good. I think I have a couple components over here that I've kind of nicked up a little bit, but that's not a problem. All right, so what we're going to go ahead and do is I'm going to take my toothbrush and this towel. I just dipped it in some 99% IPA. Now we're going to go ahead and clean off this board because looks like we did a fairly decent job with just that one desolder braid, which means we did really good with the initial process of just using that low melt solder to make sure we can quickly get off that solder. And I'll warn you guys, if you do not switch over to the low melt solder, it's not a problem. But a lot of times, if you move a wrong way, you can rip a trace, which trace repair on a chip like this is not fun. All right, so that area looks a lot better, a lot more cleaned up, a little more comfortable with putting this new chip down. So I've already got the other chip ready to go. We just gotta reball it, so I'm gonna grab that. All right, so you guys see what I got now. I know the stencil is not the proper stencil. This is a stencil for the PS4 Fat, and I already put the chip in here, and I actually already removed all the old balls off of the chip. And I did it with the same technique as I did with just pulling off the old solder balls off that motherboard. So this is the new chip. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to go in here, and first off, I'm going to have to make sure that I don't have any debris or anything on this stencil. Then we're going to have to put solder balls and align everything, and we're going to heat everything up and get everything looking nice and neat. So let's get that done. All right, guys, so as you can see, we got the chip right here. I got it in my Reball jig. You can also find these off of Amazon or eBay. You might have more luck on eBay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put the 8341 no clean flux on. I'm gonna use my finger with the glove over top and just spread it around to make sure we get a nice, good, clean coat, because you don't want an excessive amount, really. So this amount should actually do. You don't want a bunch of flux sitting on top of this. And now what we're gonna have to do is align that stencil with all of the pockets. So let's get that done. Okay, so yeah, this looks good. And now as you can see, the stencil tells you exactly what type of solder balls this takes. You can see it takes 0.5 millimeter solder balls, which I have some of that right here. You can see these are leaded solder balls. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our solder balls. First off, I always recommend people with these little solder balls, because these things are very, very sticky. So I always at least try to loosen it up, shake it. That helps a little bit. It's still going to be tough because these things are sticky and they don't like to move around a lot. So as you can see, I'm just literally just pouring it straight out the bottle, and they're kind of going everywhere. That's just how it works. And now as you can see, we have a bunch of solder balls, and then I'm going to take, and I'm going to show you guys how to do it on the upper cam. I kind of just shake it around like that. Right, I'm going to shake it around and just get the solder balls in place. All right, so while I'm shaking this around, I just want to show you guys this. This is some random stuff I found around my house. And I use this to catch a lot of the solder balls. So when I'm done shaking it, I will pour the excess solder balls into that tub, which is what I'm going to do right now. Another thing too with pouring those excess solder balls, I pour them back into that bottle because I don't want to waste a bunch of those. So now here is the fun part. Now we're going to have to go in and brush the extra balls off. So let's get that done. Okay, so I want to say I'm ready. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Tular heat wand. This should be a direct stencil. I have multiple stencils. This one should be my direct heat stencil, meaning that I can apply heat directly to the stencil and flow the solder balls directly onto the board. So what I'm going to do is I am going to turn the heat all the way down, turn my airflow on high so I can kind of maneuver some of the balls out the way a little bit. And then we're going to make sure all the balls are still intact, and then we should be able to solder everything down into place. So let's get that done. All right, guys, so I have the chip fully reballed. I put some 8341 flux on the chip, and I spread it around with my finger, and I also put a little bit of flux on the motherboard itself. What we're going to do is we're going to take it over to the station that you see on the other screen over there, and we're going to allow it to flow into place. So let's bring it over there, get that done. All right, guys, so I know it's kind of hard to see, but we have the Southbridge over here. It's kind of hard to get the camera to zoom in over there, but we have the Southbridge right here. As you guys can see, we have it on the BGA reball machine. I have my top sensor right here, so it can sense how hot the top airflow is coming from my top heater. And our bottom heater has the sensor actually attached onto it. So I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start it, and I'm just gonna sit here and moderate it and make sure that the chip doesn't move out of place. So I'm just gonna sit next to it and make sure this chip stays in place and make sure it's getting the right amount of heat to it. All right, guys, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the push test on the Southbridge just to make sure that it is completely in place. I'm going to move the top heat out of the way, and we're going to make sure that the Southbridge is in the correct spot, and then we're going to lift the board, clean it, and put it back together. So let's see what we can get done. All right, guys, so as you can see, we have the Southbridge Reball fully back in place. Everything looks good. I'm going to put my main camera back in place. I'm going to remove this Kapton tape. We're going to clean this. We're going to test that cap on the other side of the board as well to make sure that the short is gone and that this new Southbridge actually does work. And after that, we can be able to test out the game console and make sure it works. All right, guys, so these components right here, if they do short out, that means that Southbridge is no good. So short is gone. Short is gone, everybody. We got continuity on that side because it's supposed to. But as you can see, I'm touching this side of that cap, and everything is good. Short is gone from here, here, and here. We did it. We did a successful reball on the Southbridge. It was not fun. Took a day and a half, but we got it done, guys. We was able to successfully reball put on this Southbridge, and everything is good now. All right, so I really confidently just put this whole console back together, and I kind of just assumed that it's going to work. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start off by pressing the eject button and see if the eject button at least works. Eject button works. We was not getting that before. We now got power. Yes. Wow. Yeah, that definitely feels good that we actually now have a working PS4. All right, guys, that is it for today's video. As you guys saw in this video, we was able to get this PS4 to finally power it on. That's something we wasn't able to do beforehand. No power, no nothing. Everything is working 100% fine now on this PlayStation 4 game console. Now we'll definitely have a happy customer. If this video did help you guys out, please make sure you're going ahead and leave a like. If you guys want to see more content like that, go ahead and subscribe to their channel. If you guys want me to repair anything specific, want to see anything specific on their channel, please just make sure you just go ahead and let me know down in the comments below. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us to organize your repair. But besides that, I hope to see you guys on the next video, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.